Firstly, I would like to say hello to all of you and to say that it's a great honor and privilege for me to be here. And I would also like to use this opportunity to say thank you to Dušica and to Ljiljana for inviting me and for including me in organization of this important conference. So, as Maja said, my name is Kristina and I'm a social pedagogue. I work in a women's room in Zagreb, and there I mostly work on prevention programs and with children and youth. So in the past 3 years, since I start working in women's room, firstly I had the opportunity to learn about this topic from Croatian experts in this field. And secondly, I had the opportunity to learn from children and youth about what they need and want in order to actually engage in activism and in work of civil society organization. So regarding to that, I will try during my presentation contribute to the perspective of diversity issues, considering young activist voices, and provide an insight on the necessity of engaging young people in the prevention of sexual abuse, activism, and in the work of civil society organization. As many before me, I will also start from the context, because when we speak about youth activism, it's important that we understand the context in which we are trying to include young activists into our work. So firstly we need to understand that new generations today are raised differently in comparison to before, and that societies usually have ambivalent society expectation from young people. On one side, societies and adult people want that young people accept already established social norms and roles, and on the other side, they want them to be active, creative, and create some change and difference. So when we compare adults to young people, we can say that young people are a marginalized group in our society because they are viewed, at the same time, they are viewed as a resource and as a problem. So that must be confusing for them. Furthermore, adults usually have perception that young people are static and that they don't want to be included in social changes. That leads that actually young people don't know where and how to include and to be active on fields they are interested in. So some researches on European level show that during 2017, there were only 7% of young people that were included in the work of civil societies organizations that work on promoting human rights. And we can only assume that when we talk about sexual violence, that percent is even lower. So I would like to emphasize some reasons for non-participation. There is a lot of them, but I read a lot of literature, and I think that these are like three most important. First, there is a negative perception of feminism because young people they don't think that they need feminism anymore due to some previous successes, and they are not aware of how many fights and everything feminists had to go through for them to have right for education, for example. Also, young women nowadays are keen to present themselves as liberated and empowered, and so they want to distance themselves from a movement that's usually portrayed for women who are not. Furthermore, there's no education in our school system. Even at least in Croatia, I can assume that the situation is the same everywhere on feminism. And there are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions that young people believe when it comes to feminism. So they believe that feminists hate men, that we are aggressive, and they just don't identify as feminists. Although most of them actually support the movement, they just don't want to identify as ones. And what is also important to say, there is a tension between young and adult leaders within the movement, but I will come back to that later. Furthermore, there is no sexual education in educational system, so if we don't teach our young people about sexuality and sexual violence, they don't know that there is a problem. So I worked in a lot of schools, and sometimes when I'm in high school, higher grades of high school, students tell me that this is the first time they can openly talk about someone with this topic. And they are already 16 or 17 years old. So this is a huge gap in our system. And furthermore, there's a lack of parental involvement. They don't talk with their children, but even if their children are interested in the topic, they refuse to participate in those kinds of conversations, and they don't allow children to actively involve in civil society organizations. Before I will talk about, later I will talk about best practices and how to include young people, I wanted to show you some quotes. When I was preparing this presentation, I asked some women's room volunteers and Croatian activists to tell me, to write me, what was important for them when they decided to include in the feminist movement and activism, and what was important for them to stay in the movement. So I won't read all of it because there are some longer, but I will emphasize some things. So one feminist said that she felt clear inner need, and that being active and to contribute to positive changes fulfills her, and that it was really important for her to be surrounded with people from who she can learn. Our second feminist also said that it was her way of life, and that she believes that's the only way to change and improve women's rights in society. One of our really beautiful volunteer, she actually didn't know where she came. When she came in women's room, what will happen to her, something like me. But she says that being there, working with women's room employees and learning from them empowered her, and that now activism and feminism became parts of her life. And our last volunteer she told us that it was really important for her to gain knowledge and experience during training so that she can know more, and that were relevant factors for her motivation for continuity in activism. So when we talk about feminist movement today and young feminists, we need to have in mind that feminism today is more diverse than ever before, and that has become more attentive to the wider range of experiences of those oppressed by gender norms and stereotypes. We also can see that now where is injustice, there is resistance, and we can see that over internet and through big movements such as Time's Up or campaigns like Me Too. And we need to be aware that worldwide actions can start with the action of one single person, and that those single persons can also be young people, which play critical part in civil society organization. Firstly, because they are the only ones who can tell us what issues are bothering them, and they have solutions for them because they are the ones who best know their own generation. So, how should we include young people in the topic of sexual violence? We need to build partnership with young people, and in that process we need to be aware of adultism, and we need to have ability to empower, to teach, and to give opportunity to young people, because young people come to our organizations with diverse knowledges, experiences, backgrounds, and potential assumptions around sexual violence. And those assumptions can be true, they might be fundamentally different from our assumptions, but we need to teach them and to give them place for further development. How can we do that? We can do that by following 6 steps that are really good. We need to focus on the assets, because young people have assets we need in order to prevent sexual violence, because prevention needs to start from them and not from us. We need to address their real needs. We need to engage young people, not by telling them what to do, but allowing them space to do what they want, and we need to be just committed adults who will guide them through that process. And we need to recognize the influence of young people's environment and build community partnership, because our goal is not just to mobilize youth. Our goal should also be for youth to mobilize their communities. This is how the change is happening. And for the last part, it's almost last part, I wanted to emphasize the importance of digital culture and social media when we talk about young activists. And we need to be aware that social movement and social changes are happening differently now than before. And already on the internet there is a lot of young activists saying what they need and want, but adults are just looking in wrong directions. So, I don't have so much time. For the end of my presentation, I wanted to quickly show you and tell you something about Europeans Women's Network Against Sexual Violence online campaign. We started this campaign in March of 2017 when we were just a regional network that was at the beginning of its development. And I am moderating this campaign since then. And I think that was a great way for including me into the work of network, because I only had like 4 months of work experience then. So this was a way I could contribute to growth of the network. So now we have Facebook and Instagram page. We have a recognizable hashtag that's a part of our logo now, and it's React Against Sexual Violence, because we wanted to invite young people and adults to react and to do something when they see sexual violence. On Facebook page we now have more than 900 posts and a lot of relevant information about this topic and about gender-based violence topic. So it serves like a great source of information, and there are many contacts on that page who can be really helpful for survivors of sexual violence. And in the beginning of this year, we opened our Instagram page in order to be more modern and to attract more children. And we are using our recognizable visual for sending messages we want to send. So this is it. I think I'm out of time, so no. Okay. So for my conclusion, I just wanted to say nothing new, but I wanted to say that we need to understand and listen to young people, and that we need to learn from them, that we need to allow the diversity, that we need to educate and give knowledge and not to judge, and that we need to appreciate young people assets. And one of the most, I think that's important for all of us who work in civil society organization, to treat young people as equals, because they are the one who will continue our work. So thank you very much for your attention.